Good afternoon and welcome to this Wednesday, January 30th edition of Westman Newsline. I'm Dylan Donald alongside Tamara Pimentel and Randy Joseph Lilly. In today's news, a breaking story of yet another shooting, this time in Phoenix, Arizona, and we'll tell you why several municipalities are saying no to amalgamation. And Tamara will be in with sports. Tamara, the Brandon Wheat Kings are back in action tonight.
That's right, Dylan. The boys take on Saskatoon. Corbin Bowes is out with a knee injury, but Ryan Pulak will play his first home game since coming off injury. I'll have those details and more later on in sports.
Thanks, Tamara. And Randy will be in with weather. Randy, people talk about whether March comes in like a lamb or a lion, but what about February?
Well, Dylan, based on how cold it is expected to be, we may as well assume February is coming in like a polar bear. Currently in Brandon, it is -23 with an overcast sky. Winds will be out of the northwest at 25 kilometers per hour. I'll be back later on in the show with full weather details.
Andy, breaking news out of Phoenix, Arizona. There has been another shooting in the United States, this one at a mortgage company. Reports are saying the 60-year-old gunman is still on the loose, and officials are reporting 3 people were shot and are being treated in hospital for their injuries. There's no word yet on whether anyone has been killed or not. Police and SWAT teams are on the scene, and this news comes just as former Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords, who was severely wounded back in 2011 shooting that killed 6 people, is addressing Congress to lobby for gun restrictions. Dozens of rural municipalities in Manitoba are standing together to say no to Selinger government's plan to force them to amalgamate with bigger neighboring municipalities. Some of them are concerned about losing their identity and local programming as well. They're also leery because they feel they haven't been given enough information by the provincial government, such as issues as debt and reserve monies are further complicating the issue. The government is attempting to cut costs through amalgamation. It says 92 out of 196 municipalities aren't eligible for federal funding in areas such as infrastructure and spend 20% of their budget on administration. A manager and a longtime social worker have both told the inquiry into the death of Phoenix Sinclair that the front lines of Winnipeg Child and Family Services can be like an emergency room. Former agency CEO Lance Barber said he tried to improve the system by changing the emphasis to preventative measures, but he also admits he still ran a deficit until he left his job in 2001. Pat Harrison, who spent 13 years as a social worker, says workers have no choice but to prioritize cases, mitigate risk, and then move on. 5-year-old Phoenix was abused, neglected, and eventually murdered by her mother and stepfather in 2005 after spending her short life being in and out of care. This weekend marks the 10th annual Lieutenant Governor's Winter Festival. So for our question of the day, Westman Newsline asked people, what pavilions will they be attending?
We go to the German pavilion every year except for 3 years ago because it wasn't open, but my boyfriend and his family are German, so we like to take part in that.
Well, every year I go to the Scottish pavilion, mostly for the haggis.
If I do go, I will go to the Irish one and the British one because I'm very fascinated with their cultures.
All the pavilions do look interesting. We do have a 1-year-old to parade around this year and try and expose some culture to. So it'll probably be solely dependent on what pavilions we can walk into without a huge crowd or a huge lineup.
The YMCA in Brandon will be getting a new building as well as a new look. Crews are hard at work in the new building, preparing it for its opening later this year. Here is a look at the new facility. The YMCA located in downtown Brandon will soon be getting a fresh look when the new development is completed. The transition will be from the current YMCA to the new 52,000 square foot building located right next to the old one. The new multi-use facility that will include a daycare, as well as the Canada's second largest YMCA aquatic center. Emma Wilkinson, Member Services Director at the YMCA, says the new building will have a lot of new and exciting features.
Well, we're going to have a lot more equipment. We're going to have a wider selection of cardio equipment and weight equipment, dumbbells, free weights, and a much larger pool area than we currently have. Our current facility is just way too small. We have massive YMCA programs and a large membership of about 3,000 right now, and we just can't support all of our members in this current facility. It's old, and we just need a new one.
The upgrade to the new facility stems from concerns regarding the age of the old building, as well as outdated equipment such as the weight room. Corey Wurzman was at the YMCA and says his hopes for the new building are promising.
Just the new building in general, right? This place is kind of ancient, so to speak, so you build it, they will come.
For those curious as to when the facility might open, Lon Cullen, CEO of Brandon YMCA, has an update on the progress of the building and the expected opening date.
Progress is a little bit delayed right now, but not a ton. It'll be a couple of weeks behind. It's progressing very well. There's all the exterior will be completed. They're going to be putting the outside metal on, but it's so cold out right now. They've delayed that. It doesn't make sense for the guys putting on one piece, then going in and getting hands on. The inside, they're starting to tile all the change rooms, and they'll be finishing off with the pool. The pool is an extensive amount of tiling and labor that's involved in that. It'll be the absolute last thing that gets done in the Y. Once we move in to the new Y, then we'll be demolishing the existing building and doing landscaping and parking and fixing up the outside over the summertime. So everything should be all done by the end of September.
For Westman Newsline with photographer Eric McIsaac, I'm Dylan Donald. The Canadian Weed Board has come under criticism for a print advertisement that uses a leggy pinup girl to sell its services. The ad uses a 1969 illustration by pinup artist Gil Elfgren of a young woman in a cowboy hat, low-cut shirt, and short skirt who is straddling a fence. The ads ask the question, "Still on the fence?" and encourages farmers to sign up for the board's winter pool offering to sell their grain. Joan Brady, women's president of the National Farmers Union, says the ad is offensive and will likely cause farmers to sell their grain elsewhere. Brady says the Wheat Board apparently doesn't realize that women are farmers and make decisions about where they want to do their business and who they do their business with. Another workout facility is open in Brandon. The Healthy Living Center kicked off the 2013-2014 season with the Brandon University Bobcats. However, it's not just a home for the Bobcats athletics. There is so much more to offer. Westman Newsline's Keening Darling went to the Healthy Living Center to file this report. Oh, it appears we have technical difficulties with that story, so we'll move on. One factor that may affect the healthy routine is money management. So let's hope you can smile all the way to the bank as we take a look at where today's money markets are currently sitting.
Westman Newsline, produced by the IMA Media Production students of Assiniboine Community College. Local news, weather, and sports on Brandon's only TV newscast, Westman Newsline, airing at 1 p.m. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday on WCG TV.
Turning to international news now, severe storms damaged homes across part of southwestern Indiana early this morning. Winds knocked down trees, power lines, and spread debris over neighborhoods. Initial reports are that at least 13 homes were damaged. Emergency officials say that the number could go up throughout the day as they survey the area. The storm also rolled through Kansas City, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Georgia, taking down churches as well as homes and causing high floods. A tornado in Georgia has flipped cars on the interstate, killing one person, and there are reportedly 2 other fatalities we cannot confirm at this point. In Mali, where there are promises of support with troops and money, rebels have been flushed out of 2 more cities. First, the finances at an African Union summit. Japan, the US, the EU, and several others promised more than $450 million to help retake control of Mali's north. All of this comes a day after French and government troops took control of Timbuktu and Gao from the rebels. The French military just released this video of its assault on Timbuktu. That's it for news, but stay tuned. Randy's up next with Newsline Weather.
Good afternoon with Newsline Weather. I'm Randy Joseph Lilly. I told you yesterday that we would only have to put up with really cold weather for a few days and then you would be rewarded by the weekend. 2 more days, my friends, 2 more days. Currently in Brandon, it is cold, -23 and an overcast sky. This evening it drops 1 degree to -24. But the wind will make it feel more like -36. Overnight, well, you may see -27 there, but it's the wind chill you should be concerned about, and that will be nasty, -40. Turning to our radar image now, you'll notice Brandon is relatively dry, so don't worry about precipitation unless you're heading to Winnipeg. Taking a look at our satellite image now, there is some heavy cloud cover for the next few days, but this weekend should be clear. Taking a look at the 5-day forecast now, only 2 more days of these bone-chilling temperatures, and starting on Saturday, we'll get a bit of a reprieve. We'll have some flurries, and the temperature will get to -5, but Sunday will be even nicer, -2. Taking a look around the region, Winnipeg's in at -17, Portage is in at -18, Dauphin and Carberry are in at -21, Neepawa and Minnedosa are in at -23, Killarney's at -20, and Virden is at -27. Seasonal norms for this time of year are a high of -11 and a low of -23. The record high was set back in 1993 when we were a very pleasant 5.4 degrees. The record low was established recently in 2004 when we hit -38.5. That's without the wind chill, folks. Once again in Brandon, we have an overcast sky and a temperature of -23. Winds are out of the northwest at 25 kilometers per hour, so bundle up if you're leaving the house. That's it for weather, but stick around. Tamara's up next with Newsline Sports.
Good afternoon with Newsline Sports. I'm Tamara Pimentel. The Brandon Wheat Kings will be back on home ice tonight when they clash with the Saskatoon Blades at Westman Place. The Wheats look to avenge a 4-1 loss at home last week to these same Blades. The Wheaties enter the contest after going 1-2 on a 3-game Alberta road trip, winning Friday in overtime in Red Deer, before dropping games in Edmonton and Calgary. Brandon sits in last place in the Eastern Conference, 11 points back of the 8th and final playoff spot, currently held by Saskatoon. This will be the final time the Blades will travel to Brandon this season, and the two clubs will meet 3 more times in Toontown before the season concludes. Game time tonight is at 7. Thomas Volcanic scored a tie-breaking goal on a power play at 5:31 of the 3rd period to lift the Montreal Canadiens to a 4th straight win, 4-3, over the Winnipeg Jets on Tuesday night. Canadiens rookies Alex Galchenyuk and Brendan Gallagher each had 2 points in their first game since it was confirmed they would stay up with the NHL club. Gallagher scored for a 2nd straight game for Montreal. Rene Bourque and Eric Cole each had their first of the season for Montreal, while Olli Jokinen had his first as a Jet. Nick Antropov and Blake Wheeler also scored for Winnipeg, which ended a 3-game winning run. In other NHL action, last night Brad Marchand scored the shootout winner as Boston defeated New Jersey 2-1. Matt Fratton scored with just under 2 seconds remaining in overtime to lift the Toronto Maple Leafs to a 4-3 road win in Buffalo. Alex Rodriguez is denying he was treated by the head of a clinic that a newspaper says sold HGH and other substances to the Yankees slugger. It was reported in a story Tuesday it had obtained files through an employee at a clinic in South Florida that show Rodriguez bought banned substances there. Several other players were also named as clients of the Biogenesis clinic run by Anthony Bosch. The facility recently shut down. It says Rodriguez was not Bosch's patient, and the documents cited by the newspaper are not legitimate in Rodriguez's case. Major League Baseball says it has been investigating possible doping issues in South Florida. And Dylan, that's it for sports.
Thanks, Tamara. Well, with the 10th annual Lieutenant Governor's Winter Festival rolling around, what would you think, or which festival or pavilion are you most excited to head down to?
I think I'm gonna go down to the Ukrainian one. I've been there in the past, and I found the dancing very entertaining, and of course, pierogies.
You can't go wrong. And it is a popular one. Probably for me, the Scottish one would be my favorite. It is my heritage. So went down last year, fantastic showing. No matter where you go, you're going to get a great show, a lot of food, and showcasing a lot of the pavilions that are going on here in Brandon. 10th annual one, fantastic what they've been showing. And even though they lost the American one, still so much going on down there. And kicks off tonight or tomorrow night and runs until Friday and Saturday. Well, that's all we had for you today. Stay tuned tomorrow for Brandon's only TV newscast, Westman Newsline.